There is a quiet power that lives within every human being, yet few truly learn how to awaken it. That power is persistence. The book The Science of Persistence is not simply about pushing forward blindly or forcing outcomes against impossible odds. Instead, it explores the art and science of steady, consistent effort, the invisible thread that connects ordinary lives to extraordinary success. From the beginning, the author reminds us that persistence is not a gift for the chosen few. It is not a trait you are either born with or forever denied. Instead, it is a habit, a cultivated way of being, and, most importantly, it is a decision made each day. The science of persistence rests on this foundation, the ability to keep moving, not because the road is smooth, but because your inner compass points to something greater than your current struggle. One of the book's most profound insights is the distinction between motivation and persistence. Motivation is often loud and fleeting. It burns bright in moments of inspiration, when you hear a powerful speech, set a new goal, or feel the thrill of a fresh beginning. But as time passes, motivation fades. Persistence, however, does not rely on bursts of energy or excitement. Persistence is quiet, it is steady, it is the act of showing up when the world gives you no applause and when the results seem invisible. The science here lies in training your mind to shift from emotion-driven bursts to principle-driven consistency. Imagine, for example, a student preparing for years to become a doctor. The motivation at the beginning might come from the dream of wearing a white coat or making their family proud. But somewhere along the way, the nights of endless study, the exhaustion, and the failures begin to test the spirit. Here, only persistence matters. The student who persists, even when enthusiasm vanishes, is the one who eventually steps into the world as a healer. The book beautifully emphasizes that persistence is not about hardness or rigidity. It is about resilience. Just as water carves valleys through rock not by force, but by continual flow, so too does persistence shape the seemingly impossible into possibility. The science reveals that our brains actually rewire themselves when we practice persistence. Neural pathways strengthen, habits form, and what once felt like resistance slowly becomes second nature. Every repeated step is not wasted energy, it is a rewiring of self. Another powerful lesson in the book is about the relationship between persistence and failure. Failure is not the enemy, it is the ally that refines persistence. Those who resist failure often see it as a sign that they should stop. But those who understand persistence see failure as feedback, a signal that something must be adjusted, but the journey must continue. Think of Thomas Edison, whose thousands of failed attempts to invent the light bulb could have been his stopping point. Instead, each failure became a teacher. His persistence created light where there had only been darkness. Yet persistence also demands wisdom. The author makes it clear that persisting blindly in the wrong direction can waste years of effort. True persistence is not stubbornness. It is a balance between staying true to the vision and being flexible in the methods. If one road closes, persistence finds another. If one strategy fails, persistence adapts. This is not the persistence of a rigid stone, but of living roots that break through concrete, seeking light. The book also dives deeply into the emotional side of persistence. To persist is often to endure loneliness. It is to keep going when others doubt you, when your loved ones cannot see the vision you hold in your heart. This is perhaps the greatest test of persistence, the willingness to continue when external validation is absent. The world celebrates outcomes, but persistence is lived in the unseen process. For example, an entrepreneur working late nights, pouring energy into a dream, often goes unnoticed for years. The recognition only arrives much later, when the world sees the success but forgets the silent persistence that created it. Through stories and research, the book illustrates that persistence is contagious. When you persist, you give permission for others to do the same. Think of athletes who break records. When Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, the world thought it was impossible. Yet within a year, others achieved it too. Why? Because persistence not only builds personal triumph, it shifts collective belief. Your persistence can become the seed of someone else's courage. Practical strategies also emerge throughout the book. One is the power of breaking big goals into small, achievable steps. Persistence is not about climbing the mountain in a single leap, it is about taking the next step faithfully. Another is the practice of building rituals, small daily actions that anchor persistence even when willpower is weak. For example, a writer who commits to writing just 500 words a day may not feel motivated every morning, but the ritual carries them forward. Over time, those small steps accumulate into a book, a body of work, or a legacy. The author also touches on the role of faith, whether spiritual faith, faith in self, or faith in the process. Persistence without faith becomes exhausting, but persistence with faith becomes purposeful. When you believe that your effort is not wasted, when you trust that the seeds you plant will eventually bloom, persistence feels less like suffering and more like devotion. Perhaps the most moving aspect of the book is the stories of transformation. We meet characters, some real, some illustrative, who face what appear to be insurmountable challenges. A single mother who works multiple jobs yet continues studying at night, eventually earning her degree. A musician rejected by record labels again and again until persistence opens the door to a breakthrough. A patient recovering from illness, persisting through pain and rehabilitation until strength slowly returns. Each story reminds us that persistence is not abstract theory. It is lived courage. It is humanity at its finest. By the conclusion, the message is clear. Persistence is not simply a tool for achieving external goals, it is the shaping of character itself. To persist is to declare to the universe, I will not be defined by temporary obstacles. I will not surrender my vision to the winds of difficulty. I will remain, and in that remaining, in that quiet daily choice, greatness is built. The science of persistence, then, is not about grinding endlessly. It is about aligning your effort with your deepest values, about understanding that every step, however small, compounds into transformation. It is about embracing failure as a teacher, silence as a companion, and faith as a guide. Most of all, it is about choosing, again and again, to continue. When you close this book, you are left not with a sense of pressure, but with a profound peace. You realize that persistence is not a heavy burden to carry but a gift, a reminder that the life you seek is possible, not because it will arrive overnight, but because you will walk toward it, day by day, until the vision within becomes the reality without. And perhaps, in the quiet moments of your own struggle, you will remember this truth: persistence is not the act of the strongest, the fastest, or the most talented. It is the art of the one who refuses to quit.